factory rigid fog lights on the Bronco Raptor don't get a lot of love online. People love to hate them, I guess you could say. And I think some of those criticisms are overblown. They are not the brightest off-road lights, right? But as street legal factory fogs go, they're really not that bad. And there's a few things we can do to actually get a little bit more out of them. So in this video, I'm going to show you a couple changes to get more value out of the fog lights that are already there. I've got a new light bar coming for the bumper, and that has made me want to change a few things around. I need to free up the aux switch for it, and it's also changing my plans a little bit for the fog lights. I do have a long-term plan to swap these out, which you'll see at some point down the road. But in the interim, I think I can get a little bit more value out of these guys. So between rewiring these, reprogramming them, and changing their positioning, I think I'll be able to get quite a bit more value out of these lights for the foreseeable future. Now that I've got a light bar coming, I want to go ahead and use AUX 1 for the light bar. Currently, AUX 1 is powering the inside fog lights. Both of the factory fogs are SAE rated, and while they are made by Rigid, these do not seem to be as powerful as Rigid's aftermarket off-road lights. So unfortunately, Ford did not give us the best fogs out there. Now they can be swapped out. Ford Performance has an option, and of course there's a ton of great aftermarket options that'll fit inside of this space. I have some plans for this later, but that's going to be a secondary phase. For now, I need to free up AUX 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the inside lights that are currently going to AUX 1, and I'm going to plug them in to this splitter, this Y piece that I got from SPV Parts, Specialty Performance Parts. And what this will do is it'll let me take the connection that goes into the outer fog and run it to both of these. So it's just going to go in line there and split it. That will let me free up AUX switch 1 without having to worry about it, and will let me run both of these lights off of the factory fog button. That'll at least let me get some value out of these until I can swap them out to a different aftermarket fog. Turns out that to get to the connectors of the factory fogs, you don't actually have to take the bumper end cap off. If you take off this plastic piece on the back, which just has a couple of trim clips, which are kind of a pain in the ass, but they are what they are. If you take those off, then you can actually peel it back and you can see here's the inner light and here's the outside light. So I ought to be able to go ahead and just disconnect these two, and I'll plug in the new connector here, and then to both of those should only take a moment. Here's the situation. I took the bumper end cap off. It is a pain in the ass because in the factory fog housing there is a little bolt hidden back underneath here. And once I loosened that, it came off just fine. I do think that it's easier to take this off. Getting to these stupid trim clips is a real pain in the ass. Even though I could reach the wiring by partially through here, these stupid plastic Molexes, why do automakers always, they put them in and they work great if your vehicle's brand new, but you get the slightest amount of dirt or they get a little bit older, like this car's a year old, right? And they just become impossible to push these stupid little pins in and pull them out. And sometimes they work perfectly, and other times it's a huge, huge pain. I know there's pliers made just for this purpose. I do not have them. I'm gonna order some because this just drives me nuts. I'm gonna go to the auto parts store. I'm gonna walk there.
1 hour later.
Taking this thing off is a huge pain in the ass. So here's the few things I learned. One is that if you want to take the whole thing off, you have to make sure inside the frame there's a screw that holds the light assembly into the top of the front bumper. So you got to take that off, and then you can pull this out. Taking the black plastic piece off, in theory, would let you do this all underneath the car without taking it off. Taking that off is a huge pain in the ass as well, because the rivets are just not in a good location. and I had a hard time getting my trim tool around them, so I ended up needing a different trim tool to take that off. So I get the black plastic piece off, I get the bumper cap off, and I say, okay, now all I have to do is unplug these connections and plug the new ones in. These connections are also a pain in the ass, of course. So if your car is brand new, they'll probably work as designed. For me, having gotten plenty of dirt up in here, and I did clean this out, it was quite a struggle. So what I've learned, right, the way these connections work, the connection that goes into each fog, right, has this red piece. To take it out, the red piece has to be back. And then you have to push on the little black, so you pull the red piece back and you push on the little black piece. When you push on the black piece, it raises this little connection that actually locks it in. Getting that stupid little piece to work properly took a ridiculous amount of time and patience. And I actually broke this one connector a little bit. It's okay, I don't need it. But yeah, that's what I learned. Now everything is plugged in. This ought to work off of just my fogs. I just need to clean up the connectors here, put the black plastic piece back over it, and get it back on. You ever watch these YouTube videos and you see everybody do the installs and it looks really easy and everything goes well and none of the bolts get stuck and there aren't any problems with little plastic connectors and everything's just easy? Well, that's not my experience. I don't know how yours is, but this was so much more work than it should have been. And some of that is because I didn't take the time to look at other people's install videos first and maybe learn a couple tricks. But it's just really inconvenient. Between the trim clips and the plastic connectors, the little electrical connectors being finicky, this was kind of a pain in the ass. I've been at it for over an hour. I did go ahead and pick up a different trim removal tool just to see. That did help. But like sometimes the stupidest of things just take forever. If you have challenges with these kinds of things, know that you're not alone. It's not always as simple. I'm not looking to cut out all the challenges, but nobody wants to watch an hour of me cursing at the trim clips and the electrical connectors. Let's finish this up. I did check this one. It does work, so that's cool. All right, moment of truth. You can take a screwdriver to the back side of each of these lights individually to adjust the mount to point them up or down. I took the two outers and have them coming down a little bit lower. I've got the inners going up a little bit higher so that the top of the upper fog is just a little bit beneath the cutoff of the regular low beams. The coverage pattern is much better. I think a lot of the challenge with these lights is that they're not pointed well to begin with. I'm actually pretty happy with what I'm getting out of them. So now that I've got both fog lights connected together off of the factory fog switch, there's one more thing I want to do, and that is to enable the fog lights to be on while I have my high beams on. And the way I'm going to do that is with the Forscan software. I'm going to use the Forscan software and a USB to OBD2 connector to change some of the settings here on the vehicle. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it is I want to change. You can see I've got the fogs on in addition to the low beams, and if I pull on the high beams, you'll see that the fogs cut out. I want to keep the high beams and the fogs on at the same time together, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and change. The second setting is the double honk. This is what it sounds like. You get out of the car, you shut the door with the keys. That is so annoying. And the third thing we're going to change is the fake engine noise. So let's go ahead for a drive and we'll record the before so we can then compare it to the before and after. For this comparison, let's go ahead and I'll turn on sport mode and I'll turn on the Baja exhaust mode so we can see maybe the maximum difference. Well, that was the sound, and I'm slowing down a bit because there's a cop right here. Just got somebody pulled over. Glad that is not me. Probably not best to gun it right in front of them. All right, so now we're gonna go change the programming and see what a difference it makes. All right, so I've got the Forscan software up and running here. I did have to toggle back and forth a few times on the switch for the OBD2 connector between HSCAN and MSCAN as the software prompted me. It's telling me like to go back and forth basically and click OK as it loads up different modules here. It did give me an error, which is interesting. It said the adapter is not recommended for this car. Some Forscan functions may not be available or not work properly, which isn't great because I literally bought the exact same module that other people have had success with. I actually, I think I got the same one that was linked by Buckle Up Buttercup Off-Road. So I don't know. It worked for them. I mean, it looks like it's reading things right now. So we'll see. I'm not making a lot of changes, so I'm not too concerned here. I'll search for double honk on leaving cabin. Change to disabled. That seems really simple. Use front fog with high beam. Change to allowed. Okay, fingers crossed. Please cycle ignition off and then back on. All right. All right, moment of truth. Lights are on. Fogs are on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's it. Nice. Check the double honk. Oh yeah, success.
Great success.
All right, let's go for a drive. All right. I think it's quieter in here. I do. Not that I minded the noise, but I just rather have it actually be the real exhaust noise coming through the cabin than something else playing through the speakers. So I'll double check the recording, but I think it worked. So that wasn't the main thing I wanted to accomplish with Forscan. I was much more concerned about the fog lights and the double honk. But it's nice to make a couple little tweaks there. All right, so this is the low beams. And here is the low beams with the fogs. So the fogs add quite a bit. They do shoot out a little bit wider, and I'm pretty happy with how I've got them aimed. And now if I want to pull on the high beams, the fogs stay on. The high beams without the fogs are pretty dim. So the fog plus high really makes a big difference. I think what's really great, so right now there's a light snow, and what's awesome about this is you actually see when I turn on the light bar up top, just how much backscatter I get from the snow up there. That's why I'm going to be putting a bumper mounted light bar on next. Yeah, I think it definitely makes a difference. It used to be that I'd turn these fogs on and I couldn't even tell. And now, even if I have like my high beams on, the light bar on, I can still tell the difference. Before, I couldn't even tell, I feel like, that the fogs were on. But yeah, pretty happy with how this is looking. All right, final verdict. The factory fog lights with the changes, I think, are actually pretty good. The key, honestly, is in the aiming. If you take the time to aim all four lights, you can get pretty decent coverage. Putting both fogs on one wire so I can free up the AUX 1 switch is not only useful for my other plans, is that now, because I have the automatic high beams, when I'm driving in the dark and the high beams kick on, those fogs will stay on too. Having that be consistent, I think, makes the fogs more useful, it makes the high beams more useful, so pretty happy with how that turned out. And the Forscan tool really wasn't that difficult to use. The adapter was, I don't know, 30 some bucks, no big deal. So definitely something that's worthwhile to have to be able to make some of those minor changes. And frankly, getting rid of that double honk alone is easily worth the price of admission. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Be sure to check out this video here that YouTube thinks you'll like.